And welcome to Vermont Sun and Shade. So I have the camera on the finches. They're getting a lot of sun this morning. Hello, Mashuki. Hello, Angel. And they're saying hello when they come over to the bars like that and they look right at you. That's their way of saying hello. So, I'll tell you what. It's been 18 below here in Vermont, so I apologize for being so layered, but it is, when you have 20 below day after day, it just creates a dampness that doesn't go away until it actually just warms up. So today we are just covering a few really super interesting things about the finches. I'm trying to get the camera so we can look at them and read this because it's super interesting. You see how many blankets I have on them? And I had put, now there's many different ways, and we have a whole video discussing how to keep them warm. But the initial and most basic way, what I do is just layer them with quilts and blankets to begin with, and then I have heaters nearby on them, basically, directed towards their cage instead of directed towards me. So with that, so what prompted me to look up the get more information on their vision is, and I had shared this with you, is that they woke me up about 2 o'clock in the morning, a little over a week ago, I guess now. And like they woke me right up out of a sound sleep, chirping and chirping. And, they just never, never, never do that. And they become accustomed to what is a normal sound, what is not normal. They also can detect danger. But so I woke up and I've learned enough right now with them is that that chirp, that sound was an alert. So I woke up and I immediately walked through the apartment, and then I came in the back into the room, and I looked at the window and I could see a silhouette of a person on the side of my window. So it could have been nothing, but the fact, I discussed this with another neighbor, and the fact that they were so far over kind of in my area was a little unusual. These guys picked it up. They picked up danger. They were sensing danger. Did anything happen? No. Did the person go away? Yes. But they were sensing something and their cage was turned around the other way with all of the blankets on. They didn't see the shadow I saw when I came back in, and I'm looking, and I looked, and I saw this a person standing at the edge of my window, 2 o'clock in the morning. So because I put the light on, they left. Now, maybe it was nothing, but can I just tell you, I trust their sense better than I trust mine, because I believe, like cats and dogs, they must be able to pick up the hormonal senses also. There's something else with these birds. They are very bright. It's unbelievable. If you want a little, now a cat, I've had cat and dogs. I am an absolute cat and dog person. Love, love, love animals. But sometimes where there would be something maybe unusual outside my house over the last 40 years or whatever, my cat or dog may not wake up. Okay, they may not. If it's an extreme danger, most likely, yes, the cat and dog will wake up. If it's subtle and you're not hearing anything, they may not wake up. These guys, yeah, they wake up. So we're going to talk about their vision because it's incredibly interesting. Just doing an AI overview, And then we're going to do some key aspects. You're not going to believe it. It's just very interesting. Pet finches possess highly developed vision, featuring tetrachromatic color perception. How's that for a mouthful? Including ultraviolet light that exceeds human capabilities, helping them to identify food, mates, and navigate. They have laterally placed eyes, providing a wide field of view. Excellent motion detection, and that's what I think happened. I think they detected something like that through their blankets. I don't know. But it's up to twice as fast as humans, and it was because I didn't hear a thing, and I didn't even see anything until I came back around and I looked and I saw a silhouette of a person. Specifically in zebra finches, 30 to 40 binocular field of depth perception while foraging. Key aspects of, I'm going to turn that down a tiny bit. Key aspects of their finch vision: color perception and ultraviolet light. Finches are tetrachromatic, meaning they have 4 types of cone cells compared to 3 in humans, allowing them to see ultraviolet light, which helps in identifying ripe seeds, foraging, and social interaction. And we're going to go more into that in a moment. Visual field and eye movement, the field of view. Each eye, so each of their eyes, check this out, people, covers 170 degree horizontally with a total binocular forward-facing overlap of 30 to 40 degrees. Seriously, I'm not sure even how to interpret the second part of it, but it's amazing. They have a blind spot. There is a 60-degree blind spot directly behind them. So that means they can see 40% behind them, which is pretty darn good on each side. So blind spot, eye movement. They have a high degree of eye movement, around 66 degrees, allowing them to adjust their focus. Motion detection. These small birds, these finches, have incredibly fast vision, processing visual information more than twice as fast as humans. And may I add to that, and we're going to look at this, I would like to look at this in a separate video, but apparently they can also detect things that smell out of the ordinary, because somebody apparently was burning toast in the building one day last week, and they were chirping and chirping and chirping. I didn't know what was going on. And I'm kind of looking around and sitting and watching them, trying to figure it out. And a few minutes later, I smelled burnt toast. So they smelled it before I smelled it, okay? So anyway, motion detection. They have incredibly fast vision, processing visual information more than twice as fast as humans. So light sensitivity. They have superior vision in bright natural light, using ultraviolet light for navigation and to distinguish colors, though they may become stationary in dark conditions. So they say at night with your pet finches that you should have a night light directed towards their cage. So if they decide they're hungry or they need to have something to drink, that they need that light to be able to see. So that is something I have on them every night, and I have for myself too. It's a night light for them and for me. Foraging and feeding. Their vision is specialized to detect color contrast, enabling them to choose food-based ripeness. And so I'm going to give you an example of that. How detailed that is. A banana, for example. If the banana isn't ripe enough, they will not eat it. They will not touch it. The banana has to be ripe. for them to eat it. I've tested it, and I've observed it. It's amazing. They will not touch it. They will sit on it as opposed to eating it if it's not ripe enough. So clinical and environmental considerations. Lighting. Providing full spectrum bird safe lighting is crucial for their mental and physical well-being. That's why I try to give them the daytime light and open up their cage for the daytime light. If I don't have the daytime light, I make sure they're in very good lighting in the house here. Eye health. Finches can suffer from infections such as mycoplasmal conjunctivitis, often seen in house finches, characterized by swollen or crusty eyes. Regular cage and feed cleaner is very important to prevent this. Let me add to that. They also like to bathe 2 times a day. You got to remember they're inside a little cage here. So these guys will chirp, and I've told you this before, when they hear the water running or when they want clean water. And so it's 2 times a day, and they will actually, if they're not warm, like if the temperature is not warm enough, they won't take that second bath, but they will always take their first bath. So yeah, they got to stay clean. Vision guided behavior. During courtship, males direct their heads towards the females using their specialized color-rich vision. Now, this is a very interesting video, and I'm going to review it and cover it later because it's giving more facts on the finch. So we'll do that. But let me go to some more information for you. Get some more information. On there, I was curious as to what the ultraviolet vision means, like really looks like, and so I had looked it up. Oops, I went into the wrong, I don't know about you, but I don't get really good information with Yahoo, not to put them down, but okay. So, I want to read this to you. What does the world look like with UV vision? That's what the finches have, UV vision. Hidden colors. Scenes, foliage, and other birds appear more varied and more colorful, often appearing as hidden colors or patterns invisible to humans. I was reading that they can see patterns, they can see contrasts, and yes, they see the colors more vividly than you and I. And brighter colors. The colors that are already bright to the human eye, like reds, yellows, and blues, likely appear even brighter or have an added sheen if they reflect UV. So the UV vision is, hi everyone, thanks for being here, by the way. How many of you have pet finches out there? Anybody? Okay, so they can see you in an ultraviolet way, like across the room. And I was curious about it because I had looked it up because, oh, cats are amazing. Because the other day when I didn't feel good, they were kind of like chirp, 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 like, And looking at me, it seemed as though they were directing the chirp towards me across the room. I didn't feel well. I didn't feel well Saturday, guys, because it was 20 below and the cold got to me. I didn't extra dress, you know what I mean? I should have had a vest and a sweater under my winter coat. So I am extra dressing now. But so I found out that yes, they can recognize me, and see me in an ultraviolet way and patterns. So they may have even noticed that my biochemistry, my pattern of my biochemistry was shifted because I didn't feel well. They were talking to me from across the room. These birds are unbelievably caring and intelligent. It's beyond belief. Contrast in plumage. A finch that looks mostly brown or gray to you may look highly patterned with bright, glowing, and deeply contrasting dark and light patches to another finch. Background differences. Green leaves and brown bark absorb UV and appear dark, while food items and other birds stand out in contrast. So it says here, for your pet finches, why proper lighting matters. Because pet finches rely on UV light to see their environment. And if you haven't seen UV, we're going to look it up in a minute. I'm going to show you what UV lighting looks like, what you look like to them in a moment. So they see their environment in this way. They see the other birds and food in this way. So it requires natural, unfiltered daylight. Just like what I have on them right now is natural light from outside. You got to be careful because when I tried to place them directly in the window, it was too much for them. They didn't like it. They immediately panicked. They need to be placed just a little bit away, but making sure they're getting a full spectrum of light. But you need to also have part of their cage, like you see this part right here is kind of covered. That's very important that they have a little spot that they can go in and hide away from the light or the visual field if they feel they need that. My guys will take naps. Like that night when they woke up, they were actually on guard. The more I think about it, like hours earlier when I was getting ready for bed, and I noticed it because they were kind of chirping back and forth with each other, which they don't do. They typically just go to sleep. But they were picking up motion that I was not picking up, and or sound. They were detecting. So this person that they alerted me to at 2 o'clock in the morning outside my window may have actually been out there hours before. I'm just saying. And nothing came of it, thank goodness. But I'm just saying. So glass windows filter out necessary UV rays, meaning that the birds kept solely indoors without UV lighting may experience a dull black and white vision to the world. So I find that interesting. What UV vision looks like. So we're going to talk about it and then we're going to look at it. Well, it's impossible for humans to truly visualize a fourth primary color. Scientists use specialized imaging and models to approximate what this UV vision looks like. Glow-in patterns. Surfaces that reflect UV light may appear to glow or have a neon-like intensity. You know, I really can relate to that because sometimes upon just waking, have you ever noticed, I don't know, it can't just be me. I mean, upon waking, you notice like when your eyesight is not fully like oh, working, maybe like you see kind of a glowing and kind of like patterns. Have you ever seen that? Has anyone ever experienced something like that? Okay, hidden contrasts. Birds see distinct markings on feathers, such as UV reflective crowns and spots, that make individuals stand out from their environment from each other. Okay, I'm going to ask it this. Okay, my pet finches. Okay, check this out, guys. I asked it, can my pet finches distinguish me from strangers? This is AI. It says, yes, pet finches can definitely distinguish their own owners from strangers using a combination of visual and, check this out, auditory cues. They listen for things in the environment that, and you got to remember, these are teeny tiny little birds that go back. Let's see how far back they go. Let's see. Check this out, guys. So the finches in Galapagos evolved from a common ancestor that arrived from South American mainland roughly, check it out, 2 to 3 million years ago. These birds are a classic example of adaptive radiation, diversifying into at least 13 distinct species on the islands. In other words, they're just talking about, variations of them. But the same species as finch. The oldest fossils of these finches are from the Holocene period, within at least the last 10,000 years. Galapagos finches, a molecular evidence points to single ancestor species arriving 2 to 3 million years ago, which we just read that. Now the house finches is a little bit different. The house finches, like our little guys here, they're still finches. There's still the DNA going back millions of years, guys. Originally native to the western U.S. and Mexico, suggests to a long presence, with the record spinning back to the late 19th century. However, these guys go back to Bangladesh, I believe. The name Finch has Anglo-Saxon roots, with the surname recorded back to 1049, or Godric Finch. So basically their DNA is very old. So do they recognize you? Yes, they do. How do they recognize you? Facial features. Finches are capable to recognize individual human faces and can distinguish between familiar and unfamiliar people. Voice recognition. They can identify the specific. Look how Umi is watching me right now. That's Umi. Hi, honey. Who's that? That's Umi. Hi, sweetheart. Hi. She's sitting watching. That's what she's doing. Voice recognition. They can identify your voice and often react differently when you speak compared to a stranger. They do totally, they look right at me now. When they were tiny little babies, they would flit and fly when I talked to them, but they look right at me now. And here she is, she's watching. Pattern association. They quickly learn to associate your specific movements. Oh, let's see if it gives me, whoops, it kind of ran out of space here. What's going on? Um, Associate your specific movements and appearance with positive outcomes like food and safety. That's why when I didn't feel well, they were watching me and kind of chirping quietly. They were trying to figure out what was going on. Behavioral and recognition. Comfort levels. Sorry, I need another coffee, guys. Finches are naturally timid prey animals. They're often alert and nervous around new people. They will typically remain calmer and more settled when you are near the cage than when a stranger approaches. Now, let me tell you something. They really, really, really like it when I'm sitting near the cage. They're okay if I'm across the room for a while, but they are very much a companion bird. They truly love it when I'm sitting and working. They watch me. And when I talk to them, they totally respond. Anticipation. Your finches may perk up or start chirping more actively, yeah, when they see you or when they see you approaching, especially if they associate you with fresh seeds and treats. So you know it is, yes, they look for their treats and they look for their food, and they are particularly happy in mid-afternoon when they get their fresh water and they get a few new sprigs of sweet pea, or I give them a little pot of sweet peas or a little sprig of peppermint. They're especially happy, yes. However, there's a little bit more there. They look at you as their flock. You know what I mean? They look at you as their family. Limited taming. So this is DNA, totally feral, wild species, right? So although they recognize you, most finches prefer the company of other birds and rarely will seek out physical affection like a dog or a cat would. No, they do not do that. So that's true. However, a well-bonded finch might eventually be trained to perch on your finger. Now, Umi, the female, so she had gotten out very briefly one time, and I had to actually like get her in my hand and like very quickly put her in a hat, a crocheted hat. I knew no other way to kind of get her, and it's since then, and I got her back in with her partner because she kept flying by the cage. She couldn't figure out how to get back in there. And I got her, and so I do believe her bond is a little more with me because she just loves, like, she just looks at me and such an adoringly and tries to communicate. Now, Mashuki does too, the male. However, it's not in the same way. Have I tried to pick him up? No. Because if you do that, you're just going to frighten them. As it is very embedded in their DNA. Hi, honeys. What you hear? Hi, Ome and Mashuki. And I try to do little sounds that they get used to, like that, like that, like you might do with a cat, or whistle, like that. You know, just, and then I use like a higher tone sometimes with them when I go towards them to give them food or change their cage. So you got two birds. I just can't emphasize it enough. They say change them once a day. I say twice a day. Change the water twice a day. If the food is a mess at the end of the day, take it out. Give them some clean food. The same with their papers. If the papers look okay, I'll leave them for the morning. But if they have especially messed them up or get them really wet, because they love to bathe, I will change them out. So it's really important that they stay clean. So anyway, I think they're a wonderful companion bird. They do show you attention, but it's in a way, you got to remember, yeah, they're super tiny, and they're in the wilds, they're hunted constantly. So they're on a constant guard. They're constantly studying the environment, and they do know which I'm happy to say, it is clear to me. They actually, the shades were drawn the other night. I noticed this. The shades are drawn, the cage is turned, the lights are off. Somebody turned their lights on the other side of the parking lot, facing my window. There was nothing shining in here, but they were alerting me and alerting me and alerting me. They didn't like it. I looked out the window and those lights were right towards the apartment. They picked up that motion sensor. They're like motion sensors. It's amazing. Anyway, anything different in your environment, rest assured, your little birds will let you know. So I do feel particularly extra safe, just how they exhibited um, that alertness to me. And they woke me up out of a sound sleep. It's not easy to wake a person up out of a sound sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning when they're in that dead zone sleep. It's not easy to be woken up, but they did. So anyway, I'm very pleased with them. I would love to at some point get another set, but first I want to get them. I'd like, this cage is big, and they're very happy in it, but I would like to get them a bigger like cage at some point. Anyway, with that, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I do highly recommend, if you're looking, if you have a loved one and they just need a companion during the day because they sing all day long, they would have to have somebody, though, who's able to keep up with their cleaning the cage, because there's two of them and you can't get just one. They're very, 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 very lonely with one. It's not their nature. They may not even survive just one. So you want to get, in my opinion, two. And I think they won't sell them at the store unless they are in pairs. I'm pretty sure. So anyway, with that, I hope that gives you a really, oh, that's right, I want to share with you so you can see what the UV vision looks like. Some of you may already know. Okay, so this is, I'm going to show you. This doesn't really give the greatest, but you'll get an idea. Let's see if I, here. Oh, this is a really good one. This is a really good infrared, ultraviolet, ultraviolet. Here we go. This is what you may look like to your finches. See? Now, why is that so interesting? Because they're seeing you as an energy field. And that's why I say, when I didn't feel well the other day, I probably looked very different to them. Like, I might look different to you. Like, when we don't feel well, you can tell another person is sick, but like maybe they're pale or their eyes are droopy. But with a finch, they probably could tell my whole energy field was different, because they totally knew there was something different. Yeah, because I had to rest. I never ever rest during the day. But they saw that and they were just chirp, chirp, like directly at me. So I'm just loving my little finches. But this is how they see you. And so that's super duper interesting, isn't it? Anyway, that's as close as we can get to interpreting how they may see us. So let me see if I can get you one more different. Because they see the, here you go. let's see, let me just show you. Okay, so you see the human, this is what you and I see, is the one that says human vision. Put this up here, this one right here, you see? And this is what the finches see, you see? They see the purple, the green, the blue. They're seeing a bunch of other colors. Is that just gorgeous? So what does it mean? Does it mean that the color is there or it's not there? It's there. They're seeing what is there that you and I can't see. You've got to remember, you and I are very limited in our senses. You know, for example, like I was telling the neighbor here, and I notice this with so many, like just through my life and my own dogs, but your dogs can tell if they're home alone and you've been out for a number of hours. They can tell when you're about 1.5 miles or so up the street. Your car in the midst of a bunch of other cars on the street coming home. They know exactly how far away you are, and they run around and they go to the window and they cry a little bit. They know you're on the way home. And for a long time, I thought that was just like a sense of like innate sensing, but it's not. They're actually hearing your car that far away. They've learned the distinct sound of your car. It's the same with the finches. They know you. They know their owner. They know the sound of your car. They know your neighbors. The other place I lived at, there was a gentleman who would walk by the window probably frequently during the day. And he had to walk by the window to go down the steps. So he'd walk by the window. Well, at first they were like a little skittish, but they totally got to know him. And I'm like, I was thinking to myself, how on earth do they know him through the window? Like, are they really able to size up his, because they're not like seeing his face. He's not talking to them, but they totally got to know him. And this is how they're doing it. They're seeing his ultraviolet pattern. Do you see what I'm saying? They see the pattern and the contrast. It's highly interesting. We're going to go into it more the more research I do. But they saw his body energy, and because I was shocked that they didn't jump every single time he went by, because in my view, they should have seen him as some kind of shadow and kind of been skittish. But they weren't. This is the reason. They weren't seeing a shadow. They were seeing his pattern. So they knew him, totally knew his energy field. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And they were not afraid of him because they knew that that person was going down the stair and then back up the stair, whatever. So I find that very interesting. So, but even more interesting is the fact that the sense of presence that they picked up, and you got to figure they pick up presence in the wild if they're in the trees. You know, they're going to pick up a presence maybe a couple 100 yards away for safety out in the wild. So they picked up the presence of a person standing outside my window and alerted me. So that's how they're doing it. They have the motion detectors, they have the auditory acuteness, they are picking up any sounds over 2.5 times faster than a human, and they are sensing, they are able to sense danger. I will go into what they're picking up in the energy fields. I'll do some research on it, and we'll do another video on that because I'm very interested. I do know that these birds, in particular, the society finch that I have, not to say they're not studying the Gouldian or the zebra, but they study the society finch especially. So we're going to look into that more and find out. They study them for behavior and probably for this type of behavior, acuteness to danger. So with that, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I love talking about the beautiful finches. And so yeah, keep them extra clean. Take that little bit of time every day to dedicate to your beautiful little friends. Clean them up, give them some extra little special foods for midday snacks, and just enjoy them. And with that, you have a beautiful, beautiful day. A love and light.